Hey guys, I'm back to talk about Star Wars, specifically my theories on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. But first, let's acknowledge that I have lost a substantial amount of interest ever since The Last Jedi. The more I thought about it, the less I got interested in it. So, yeah, let's get that out of the way. The second thing I want to get out of the way is I I ended up watching the whole panel for episode 9, just because I wanted to see what they would say. And before we get into the meat of my theories for what's going to happen in the next episode, let's talk about what was in the panel. Besides J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy looking to be on the point of crying the entire fucking time. The entire time. But let's backtrack a bit, just because I'm going to read an excerpt from an interview that Abrams gave to Fast Company, I believe it is the site. I'll probably link it in the video, link it below the video. Just a quick excerpt. There's more people who have been following development of episode 9 might have heard of this. And I'm just going to read this. I had some gut instincts about where the story would have gone, but without getting into the weeds in the weeds on episode 8. That was a story that Ryan wrote and was telling based on episode 7 before Matt. So he's taking the thing in another direction. So we also had to respond to episode 8. So our movie was not just following what we had started; it was following what we had started and then had been advanced by someone else. So there was that, and finally it was resolving 9 movies. While there are some threads of larger ideas and some big picture things that had been conceived decades ago, and a lot of ideas that Lawrence Kasdan and I had when we were doing episode 7, the lack of absolute inevitability, the lack of a complete structure for this thing, given the way it was being run, was an enormous challenge. I mean, let's be honest. When directors and actors and actresses and producers and whatnot give interviews, it's fucking PR. It's PR. That's not a good PR statement, by the way. If that's it's basically admitting that they have no plan. They don't know what to do. Well, Abrams didn't know what to do after 8. I believe later in the same article he mentions, oh, we dedicated ourselves to the story, and it doesn't feel like we just put band-aids. And I mean, it means they put band-aids on things and hoped it would go well. So Abrams has no confidence in this movie. The interview there gave it away, and Kathleen Kennedy, same, especially since people have been yelling at her to be outed for years now. A year now? A solid year. Yeah. Let me get to the panel pictures. So, I watched the entirety of the panel with a friend, which I just might upload that raw later. It's transformative. It's me and a friend talking over the video. But a couple things I wanted to note. Abrams and Kennedy just looked like they were on the verge of crying the entire panel. I believe when Stephen Colbert, who was the host of this Star Wars Celebration panel, gave them an option to get the cast out, they, instead of answering a question, the first thing they did is, let's get the cast out. Which, let's be honest, all these questions are pre-screened by the by Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy. Celebration isn't where they go to get grilled. It's a fan convention. It's their biggest PR. It's their biggest stage for a PR stunt, and they couldn't go play coy. Oh, they couldn't play coy about it. They evaded as fast as possible, and I have some notes. Kennedy says we always think about responsibility, which she doesn't, let's be honest. But one of the things I noticed specifically is usually when, directors and movie stars come out to talk about their movie, they go, oh, we think the fans will like this, it's a great homage, blah blah blah, the usual spiel of, we think this is a good movie. Not once during the entire panel did they talk about how good the movie was. They talk about how it's for the fans, as I just mentioned and Kennedy said, how it's trying to live up to Lucas's legacy. But no, they don't talk about how good it was, which there's a problem if you're trying to sell a movie. Anyhow, if the top level is in disarray, well, who knows what the actors think. I mean, Mark Hamill wasn't even there, and he's arguably the biggest star of the entire fucking saga. Of the entire saga. But hey, episode 8. Anyhow, on to the actual theories. So, I believe I've said this on some of my social media, but I believe with episode 9, they will go and reset the canon. They're going nuclear here. Now, you're probably asking, hey stupid, that's really fucking stupid, and it is. But let's bring this into consideration. The director of the movie has no faith in it. The head of Lucasfilm probably has no faith in it. The actors, well, they talk about their experience there, and, just like how 90% of the prequel stars, they're leaving as soon as the paycheck clears, and, they don't have to be there. I mean, it took a decade to get Hayden Christensen at conventions. Jake Lloyd isn't even worth talking about. Natalie Portman either, but poor Jake Lloyd. But yeah, I think they are gonna reset the canon using the World Between Worlds front that we see in Rebels, which is what I'm gonna bring up here. So, I am sure as everyone's seen the trailer, it ends with Palpatine laughing and a shot of the Death Star 2. But here we see a scene from Star Wars Rebels, the animated TV show that ended about a year and a half ago, where Palpatine uses Sith alchemy or some sort, or something of the sort, to attack Ahsoka and Ezra. Now, here you see the blue magic force energy. And take a note of it. Now let's go back to good old episode 6, where when the Emperor dies, he disappears in this brilliant blue flash of energy, rather similar to this. So here's what I think happens. I think, in part, that, you know, there's no structure to this trilogy, but they decided to bring Palpatine back, and they will use this as an excuse. I believe this is more or less how they're going to introduce Palpatine. Palpatine has been stuck in between worlds, in between time, for several decades, 2 to 3. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember which decade we're in. Which decade we're in. And right before dying, he reaches in and arrives in the, well, where Ahsoka and Ezra were, where, you know, they can access time, they can access the future and the past, and here's what will happen. Near the end of the movie, Rey, Finn, Poe, BB-8 will stumble upon the wreckage of the Death Star 2, drawn there by, you know, the Force and essentially destiny. Rey will walk there and inadvertently allow for Palpatine's return to the physical realm. There he will talk about, you know, how he's been able to manipulate, say, the entire Resistance, Luke Skywalker, by changing the events from, like, a different plane, different existence, I suppose. The world, the time world. Let's call it the plane. Okay, from that plane. And I believe upon the defeat of Emperor Palpatine, in order to fix all the problems caused by Emperor Palpatine, Rey will go back to Return of the Jedi, to when Return of the Jedi happens, to stop and kill Palpatine then and there, so that he doesn't mess with the timeline. And then, once that happens, the entire timeline changes. So Skywalker will rise from the dead, because he's not dead anymore. The timeline changed. Now you're probably going, that's really fucking stupid. and I know I've said that already, but is time travel possible in Star Wars? Well, with Rebels, yes it is. It's, you can now affect the past and present. Past, present, future. I mean, we saw Palpatine attack them from who knows how far away. For all we know, the Palpatine that attacked Ezra and Ahsoka was not a Palpatine from the same, let's say, time as, say, Ezra. It could have been someone in a Palpatine from the past. Because, of course, what Ezra does is he pulls Ahsoka from Season 2 to Season 5, or 4. I think it's 4, sorry. So, it could very well be a Palpatine from like Season 2, or, from Episode 4, instead of just, say, a direct, real Palpatine. So, I don't know. Let's say Palpatine is, let's say some random events happens that changes the course of the timeline. Well, if Rey fixes that, then we can get the Legends back. Or, a new blank slate. Because no one knows what to do with the current, say, continuity. But further into the trailer, I watched it a couple more times. Well, here you see the remains of the Death Star. I believe it's the Death Star 2. Could still be the Death Star 1, but I highly doubt it. Does that mean all the Ewoks are dead? It's kinda sad. So I was watching the trailer again. And there's a portion where the First Order and Kylo Ren are marching through a forest, beating on a bunch of people. They don't seem to be dressed like Resistance soldiers. And I don't think they're natives, primitive species. Instead, I think they're, as you might see up here, they're part of a Force Order, which is protecting something. Probably the gateway to the world between worlds, or that plane. And Kylo Ren is looking for let's say, a new master, and he goes and kills these people looking for a way in. Or maybe even he's looking for more power. And the ability to change time would be powerful indeed. But yeah. Also another theory I've thought of about with less grounding. Rey goes back in time and is actually Shmi Skywalker, meaning the entire timeline just loops back. And hey, who knows what happens there? But yeah, Shmi Skywalker, Rey as Shmi Skywalker is a really stupid theory. Like, worse than the one I just talked about for God knows how long. Anyways, tell me what you think. Rate it, like it, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe. Don't really subscribe, I just do this for fun. just whenever it fancies me. Anyhow, talk to you later. Talk to you guys later.